Okay.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Coaches. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Tamborski, CEO and Chief Strategist at Virtual Marketing Experts. We're a digital marketing company that specializes in working with business owners who have a desire to make an impact on the world through their courses, coaching, and consulting services. We help them to accelerate their business and scale their impact. I truly believe that coaches have an opportunity to change the world, and I just wanted to have a part in that. So I created Conversations with Coaches to help them get their message out to you. Today, I am so excited to have Dr. Amanda with us. Amanda, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. I am Dr. Amanda, and my business is NFA Coaching. I didn't ask before if I'm allowed to swear here.
Absolutely. Feel free.
Cool. I forgot to ask. Usually I ask. So my company name stands for No Fucking Around Coaching, and there's a lovely story behind that. But I love to work with people who are entrepreneurs, building businesses they love. What I love to dive deep into is our belief systems, the way we think about ourselves, the world around us. I focus on mindset, habits, money, manifestation, all the things that really get you optimized inside and out to create whatever success you want to create in your business. So that is me. I could say a lot more, but we'll start there.
Okay, so to start our conversation, when we talked before, you were talking about how you went from food stamps to six figures, and I would love for you to share that story.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. I would say the food stamps part starts almost when you're a kid, right? Because you get all these downloads and money beliefs. And so I was raised as a fundamentalist Christian, and a lot of those belief systems had me thinking money was a bad thing. Like you couldn't be spiritual and have money. Money was the root of all evil type of thing. And it really got me stuck in this mindset. And then when I entered into grad school, I got my PhD in sociology, and there was another layer of beliefs that got added on to that, which was like wealthy people are often the oppressors of the universe. So I had this mix of a lot, and then, women can't be powerful with money and all of these belief systems. And so it caused a lot of ups and downs in my financial life. And I ended up, when I was in grad school, I ended up leaving my 15-year marriage, having an affair. And here I am on the floor crying, next relationship not working. And I'm facing homelessness because I live in a really high priced area. And I wasn't making a lot of money as an instructor. And I was crying on the floor, and all of a sudden I realized I'm the center of all these issues that I'm having. And I thought, I'm really, really tired of this reality. And I was crying, and I had this thought. It didn't come out exactly in these words, but it was along the lines of, I'm really willing to do whatever it takes to shift. I'm tired of this, I got to do something different, and I don't like this reality. And so I started turning to podcasts because they were free, and I could listen to them everywhere. It's like when I was driving my kids to school or doing the dishes or walking between classes in grad school, I could listen to podcasts. And so I just started devouring everything I could about relationships and money. And really it started with relationships because I thought I'm tired of the breakups and the upheaval and all of that. And so I leaned in there, and things started to work, and I started to shift. And then I worked my way up to being able to do work study to get into this coaching workshop to heal myself, really. And the idea was that in this workshop, you could potentially become a relationship coach. And I started playing with that idea. And I got to this workshop, and we were doing a values process. And the coach asked me, well, where's values on your list? And I was like, nowhere. And I realized, where's money on your values list? And I realized, nowhere. And I had that epiphanal moment where I'm like, oh, money is a skill you can learn. I really just didn't think that my whole life. I just thought, I had so many charges and blocks against it. And so then I started focusing all of my attention on building wealth. And in that, it led me to entrepreneurship and going, if I become a professor, probably not going to build my wealth in the way that I need to. And so I started thinking, this coaching stuff is working. People are asking me what I'm doing. And so I just put myself out there as a coach, and I started. And then when I graduated and went my first full-time year in coaching, I went to six figures. So I just powerhoused and really started to align my values, my vision, and my belief system. And that was really the trick, was getting digging down into what those beliefs were that were holding me back. And so since then, it's been, just a fun, wild adventure of building a business through helping other people master themselves, really.
That is so awesome. And I couldn't agree with you more. Money mindset is often the first stumbling block, right? Of
Yeah.
figuring out, especially as entrepreneurs. So as entrepreneurs, is there something else that keeps them stuck besides their money mindset?
So much.
Right?
Sadly, so much. I call it the inner critic leash. Gay Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap, he talks about you stepping into your zone of genius, and he calls it the ULP problem, which is your upper limit problem. And I think of this because I do a lot of brain research, and really what's going on is your brain is that you have an inner critic that's keeping you safe from places that are unknown. It's like, oh, let's stay in comfort zone, because comfort zone I can deal with and I know how to keep you safe. But if you step outside of comfort zone, you start to get scared. And some of this is conscious, some of it's unconscious, mostly unconscious. And so I call it the invisible inner critic ceiling, and it's the inner critic leash. It's like when you're walking the dog and it starts to go in the street and you pull the leash back, you go like, get back here to my safety zone. And your brain does the same exact thing. And so, I noticed for people, they have 5 primary problems. They have worry and fear, procrastination, negatively comparing themselves to other people, thinking they're an imposter, and then perfectionism. Those are the top 5 that show up for people when they're starting to work through their business development. And procrastination is really just a mask for fear or a lack of a plan.
For everything else.
It is, right? It is exactly, like it's a mask for so many things. And so I noticed that's the number one thing. People procrastinate and then they can't get where they want to go. They feel stuck. It's almost like there's this invisible force holding them back and they can't get going. And so it's all those things that I help people tap into to go, oh, that's what's going on. And then they take steps in the direction of their dreams because they don't have all these invisible blocks. I call them mindset villains.
I love that. I love that because it's true, because they're the bad guys in there just yelling at you so loud sometimes.
Totally. Yeah.
So when you're starting to work on your mindset, like especially those villains, do you have some tips where we can like quiet them or even maybe shut them up entirely?
Yeah. I love that you say this because we all want to shut them up entirely, right? And I like to make friends with the villains, and really when I take people through my coursework, I have them make friends with their inner critic, because your inner critic is designed to help you, really. It's keeping you safe. So when you learn to love it instead of trying to shut it down completely, it actually works better. So one funny tip that people laugh about, but when they do it, they're like, oh, that does work. You actually make friends with your inner critic to where you name it. And then you, like, when you notice it coming up, you just kind of talk to him, go, oh, thanks for letting me know you're freaked out. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know that you want this to be perfect. Thanks for letting me know you don't think I'm good enough, but I've got this, like kind of make friends with your inner critic instead of trying to just it's like we're trying to beat up our inner critic who's beating us up, and it just creates this cycle of negativity. And so I like to help people make friends with their inner critic, which sounds really funny, but
it does. I actually have a friend who does something similar. She calls her inner critic Helga, right?
Yeah.
It's her,
yeah.
back brain there that sometimes just screams at you. And so I love that idea. Definitely not something I've thought about, but having that board meeting with your inner critic.
Totally. Exactly. And it's like going, oh, thanks. Like you actually are there to support me in your way of knowing how to keep me safe.
Absolutely.
And if I don't bypass you, we're going to stay forever stuck. So let's be friends, and I'll carry you along as you're warning me of the things you're scared of.
Right. Because there are, there are certain things that inner critic is supposed to protect you from, right? Like
Yeah,
the, tiger chasing you down the street that doesn't actually exist anymore, right?
totally.
And
Yeah.
that's what it's really
It's
screaming
so
about.
funny you say that's so true because it's like our brain is so powerful and it does not know the difference between imagination and what's real, which is why visualization is so powerful. But our inner critic is visualizing all the things that can go wrong all the time. 95% of us is on autopilot, subconscious, and it's often driven by fears and doubt and misbeliefs and misperceptions that we were taught when we were kids. So if we buy into those and we keep running those, that's why we don't break through to the levels we want to break through to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll switch back to money blocks because I will say in my own life and business, I had not a similar story, but a similar realization at some point that my money blocks was keeping me from that next level of success.
Yeah.
So what are the top unconscious money blocks that people really, especially entrepreneurs, really struggle with?
I would say the ones that get the religious downloads are huge, but it's also this moral code that we live by, which is, I'd say one of the big ones is if I am too rich, I won't be a spiritual person. Or like if I have too much money, other people have to suffer somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a lot, that means they're gonna be without. So it's a real scarcity and poverty
Right.
consciousness mentality. So I'd say money is the root of all evil. If I have too much, other people will suffer. Money makes me selfish and greedy. People won't like me. I'll lose my friends. What if I don't fit in? What if I don't like myself anymore? What if I'm too selfish? It's those are the top ones, and then there's even wealth shame, where people, let's say, someone made a lot of money or was gifted a lot of money through a trust fund or something. I'm bad because I didn't earn it. I mean, it goes on, and it's big. And I would say when we know these show up when people undercharge, a lot of coaches undercharge for their services, like big time. And it's because of those money blocks. So we tend if we're an equivalent exchange, we are on a narcissistic, altruistic balance. Most people have a really big charge against narcissism. They go, it's bad to be narcissistic because that's selfish, greedy, mean, you're only focused on yourself. So they tend to then want to be really overly altruistic and giving, but you can't only give or your company cannot succeed. Your business can't succeed.
Yeah.
But if you are too greedy and a jerk in that way, then you can't succeed either. So you want to have a balance where you go, let's create win-wins where I'm valuing myself, you're paying me what you're worth, and I'm showing up and giving you incredible value where your life completely changes after working with me. So helping people see the value they bring to the table is huge. And it has to do with those money blocks of like, money's bad, so if I charge less, then it's okay.
Yeah, I absolutely hear that and see that in so many areas of business. And really, even lately, I have seen on social media, for those of you that are listening or watching in the future, we're in the fall of 2020, which means we're still in the pandemic stage of things. And a lot of the social media I've seen attacking those people that have money, right? Like the owner of Amazon, the owner of Microsoft, whatever those are, it kind of reveals those money blocks in that way as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rather than looking at those people and going, okay, how did they make that successful?
Right.
And how can I do that?
Yeah.
They're after the money. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that I think those money blocks show up in our lives that we may not be aware of.
Oh yeah. I love that you said that, Jennifer, because I think for people watching or listening, it's really important to remember money is neutral. It's what you do with it and the way you think about it that makes it not neutral. So if you're a really awesome person, I know this is directed to coaches. If you're an awesome coach who really wants to transform the world, that's what you're going to do with your money. Right. And the more money you make, the larger of an impact you get to have. If you're a greedy jerk who doesn't really like people and wants to do crazy things with your money that hurts the world, you're going to do that too, right? And across the board and across the spectrum, we can see people who are mega wealthy who have massively transformed the world, and we could see people who don't have a lot of financial means who have massively transformed the world, and vice versa, right? You've seen poor people who have done bad things and rich people who have done bad things. So we get this, the cultural paradigm is fascinating. If you do an analysis of movies and you see how we we pit the wealthy people as bad often. And so we've got this constant flow into our psyche about money as bad and money as evil, instead of going, wow, when I have millions of dollars, I can massively transform the world and help and be a person who uplifts consciousness, which is, what a huge, awesome gift.
Yeah. I've had this conversation before, honestly, with a friend of mine he was saying, I make enough. I don't need to make beyond whatever it was he made. And I looked at him, I said, but think about what you could do with that next level. Like if you're at 6 figures and you're going to 7 and you're fine at 6 figures financially, how much impact and how much change could you make with all of the money beyond that?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's really that idea of reaching your fullest potential, right?
Right.
And if you think about the universe as abundant, then like, what is your fullest potential? And I always think, some people don't want to make 7 or 8 figures, like that might not be their quest, but it's one of those things where I go, I mean, for me, my company's NFA coaching, right? No fucking your own coaching. So I'm pretty serious about fulfilling my vision and my quest and helping people and do what they want to do, whatever that is, and the thing I love about coaching so much is that it's the sky's the limit. You could have a coaching business that makes 20 grand a year and it's a side hustle where it's like, oh, this is my vacation money for the year. Or you could have a coaching business that's 8 figures and a year. And you can absolutely create that. And so it's very powerful to have, one business that can go so far and up to whatever the potential is for you and whatever impact you want to make, which I think is amazing.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons I love coaching, not only because I get to talk to coaches like you who are out to change the world, but also because I really think that we all have that potential. And it's just a matter of tapping into where your potential meets the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah,
we are getting to the end of our call, but I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to connect with you. So what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say if they go to my website, everything is there, nfacoaching.com. So go to nfacoaching.com. There's all kinds of cool free stuff there. There's a biz mindset quiz. So if you go to bizmindsetquiz.com, that'll also take you down a fun path to find out which villain's holding you back. I've got a podcast called Max Potential Habits. I've got, I do group coaching, mindset church every week, which is super fun.
Well, that does sound like fun.
It's amazing. Yeah. And so I have all kinds of cool stuff and all geared toward entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of coaches and multi-level marketers and consultants and people in those realms, real estate investors, and just anyone who really wants to make a difference through their business at whatever level of the game you want to play at.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I will have all of those links below in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming in and joining us today, Dr. Amanda.
Absolutely.
For everyone else, I hope to see you on our next conversation with coaches.